Indian universities have been facing difficulty getting the world-class status as far as few Indian higher education institutes have made it through the global ranking. We need to understand the unique challenges of the Indian higher education sector and what academic leaders of globally ranked institutions do to respond to these changes. The interview-based qualitative study was designed to identify the key roles and responsibility of leaders. Navivo Pro was used for this initial analysis for the interview script of 12 academic leaders of globally ranked higher education institution. 9 responsibilities: visioning, fundraising, safeguarding, managing intellectual, attracting bright student, social inclusion, social responsibility, engaging into academics and administration were explored under 4 in latent categories of academic leadership roles that include in boundary spinning, nurturing human talent, social contribution and operation using 6-step thematic analysis approach. These roles are discussed in result and discussion section with respect to the challenges that Indian higher education sector faces. Our paper identified a unique emerging theme of social inclusion that plays a vital role in worldwide status of Indian higher education. We provide a few guidelines for development of strengthening Indian academic leadership as well. Rankings are often a subjective exercise, and many education experts consider university ranking as arbitrary. However, no matter what methodology you choose, the top 15 universities in the world end up being largely the same year after year. They have been on this perch for a long time, with only marginal changes in the ranking every year. Relative to each other, no one would be surprised by their names: Harvard, Yale, Cambridge, Oxford, MIT, University of Chicago, Princeton, Carl Stanford, and it is the logical thus to start our analysis with this question: what makes this university so special? Let us first look at Harvard University, widely considered by the academician as the best university in the world. The clue to Harvard greatness can be found in the way it approaches its faculty appointment. In the administrative, considering the outstanding faculty as a prerequisite for greatness in the university. When Harvard decides to hire someone in the department, its management first asks this question: who is the best in the world in this area? They make a small list of the best candidate and offer the job to whoever tops in the list. If he or she does not accept the offer, they go to the second best, and so on, till they get the best possible candidate for the job. Harvard is flush with funds, and so it can afford to pay very well. If you look at the top 10 or 15 universities, one of the first things that strike you is their generous endowment. Harvard tops in the list with 32 billion, but other universities are not badly endowed either. Even the universities of Cambridge and Oxford, which are public universities, have endowment of $8.2 billion and $6.3 billion respectively. Large endowments let universities to set up attractive campuses, buy sophisticated equipment and provide generous scholarship to deserving students. Above all, they let them offer highly competitive salaries. High salaries are very important to get the best faculty in the world, says the National Research Professor Raghunath Mashelkar. They are particularly important for a new university without a long tradition. Mashelkar has also been a visiting professor at Harvard for the 6 years. The development of human resource has become a pivotal strategy of organization to make their employees adaptive to changing environment. Fast-paced changes in tasks, tools and technologies create a working world in which the basic education or one-time training is replaced by consistent updating of skills. These circumstances urge employees to become lifelong learners. Even entire organization embrace lifelong learning as their new philosophy and transform into so-called learning organization. Also, higher education institutes undergo fundamental changes due to globalization, growing competition, for funding and staff, as well as increasing institutional autonomy. The changes are linked to the responsibilities requiring greater managerial and leadership competitiveness. Especially in the university's responsibility towards its employee has changed from simply administration to managing staff. In order to successfully adapt to the institutional shift and become more competitive in a complex environment, more and more higher education institutes adopt different strategies to better deploy their human resource. In view the fact that the investment for the employee accounts for the large share of university expenditure. Human resource is the most valuable asset of higher education institute and gains in importance in university affairs. The following paper focuses on human resource development activities in higher education. It consists of two parts in highlighting different aspects of HRD. The first one focuses on narrow and more commonly used meaning of HRD, relating to the measurement of an organization undertaking to develop their staff. Within this part, the definition of term HRD and the challenges of establishing HRD strategies in the universities will be discussed. According to the author's view, the limitation of the conventional understanding of HRD as staff development falls too short in the context of universities. Therefore, the second part of the paper, processing the extension of meaning to use the HRD within universities by taking into account also the development of student strategies and direction to develop HR in higher education. HRD activities strive towards activities that advance staff members' competencies, so they have the skills to assume tasks aligned with the strategic direction of the university. If the strategic direction is not clear or HRD activities are not in alignment with the strategy, HRD activities become inefficient and useless even if they are excellent. Therefore, it is crucial to understand the role of higher education and the current flow of their change to figure out what role career development should play in higher education institute. Higher education carries out two functions, research and teaching. Teaching include academic education as well as vocational education. Vocational education is most likely to be included in HRD, but also teaching can be included in the HRD in a larger sense. Nowadays, the government and higher education institute emphasizes the function of research in higher education institute more and more. Popular ranking systems are considering the performance of research more than teaching when they assess the competitiveness of higher education institute. Also, the evaluation of faculties takes research achievements more into account than teaching achievements. Under these circumstances, higher education institute and professor put a greater focus on the research to achieve a good reputation and good evaluation result. As a result of this, teaching and vocational education, the essence of fundamental roles of higher education institute, are often ignored and degraded. On the other hand, the higher education institute have the chance to develop their teaching area as demand for vocational education and training in increasing. With the advent of knowledge-based economy, the vocational education and training system which enhances the knowledge and skills of workers become more important for higher competitiveness and employment rates. Moreover, the emergence of aging society and need for lifelong learning generate high demand for VET. In particular, a small and medium-sized company cannot provide their own skill programs for their new and current employees. Therefore, the higher education institute becoming more and more important in their function as per the VET providers. They can provide the necessary skills for both young people who are pertaining for the future jobs and for aged people who need continuing education for their current or new jobs. In this respect, the government should spend more on its higher education budget on the implementation of vocational education. In higher education institutes must put more energy into highly qualified training programs in order to meet the needs of economy and the society. To fulfill the new role, higher education institutes have to intensify their relationship with the industry in organizing curricula for VET. However, this can quote a challenging task for faculties and staff who are accustomed to the traditional academic education. In this sense, HRD activity within higher education institute should be made with the prospect that VET should be a big chance as well as challenge for the higher education institute. Also, higher education institute need a strategy to collaborate with the industry more effectively in order to prepare well-tempered VET curricula.